Fasano.
Thank you, Madam President. Madam President, a lot's been said about this budget already, and I certainly, on behalf of my caucus, had made statements to the press in our press conference and countless press releases, so I do not plan to dwell on it very long here in the circle. However, I'd like to bring out a couple things. What is absolutely clear, not anecdotal, is the adjusted gross income for people in this state is going down. That's a fact. It's a fact that you only have to ask OFA, and they will tell you that. What OFA will also tell you when you look at their charts are the higher paying jobs have left this state and are leaving this state and being backfilled with lesser paying jobs. That is also a fact. What is also a fact is those jobs that are leaving are jobs that states take from us. And then you have to stop and say, why is that happening? As Senator Kelly said, we have a great state. We're between New York and Boston. We have a wonderful culture here. We have great education. So it's got to be something that this body keeps doing, that this Democratic majority keeps forcing through, which is not a vision for the future, which is not predictability, which is not stability, but just trying to get by budget after budget. Now, how do we know that? All we have to do is look at the budgets for the past 6 years. We heard a year ago that the last budget was a historic document, and 4 months later it was changed. We are a better state. This is not a new normal. I don't accept that. I accept the fact that we are a better state than what we have right now, and as legislators, we can bring it back. To settle back in a lazy boy and say, this is the new normal, settle in, get used to it. We are going to be second place. We are going to be status quo. Don't look for growth. Don't look for economic potential. Don't look for more businesses. Don't rise the level of wages. Sit back and just relax. We say no. That isn't what you do. You say we are a good state, we're a proud state. What are we doing wrong, and how are we going to move this forward? Not many of us in this circle run a business, but those of us who run a business will tell you this. It is too expensive to run a business in this state. We're one of the few states that haven't paid back the unemployment penalty to the federal government that businesses get hit on every few months. Every few months, that's an extra tax. Why? Because we didn't plan for that. You know why? Because they don't see it. We know the average person in the street has no idea that the businesses are paying this extra tax. Well, the businesses know they're paying that extra tax, and it's not a small amount of money. We have to do better. We can do better. Why? Because we are a better state. But if we say sit back and relax, we're not doing our job. The budget that's before us cuts ECS, cuts municipalities, puts the burden back on municipalities, cuts school transportation, hurts hospitals. The very group that comes up here and says, you're killing us out there. We can't afford to give the medical care that you're asking us to give because you are taking money out of our pocket. We've heard them scream in this building. I've seen legislators in this building issue press releases saying, that is wrong, we need to fix that. This very budget shortchanges hospitals by $43 million, which is roughly $150 million when you add in the federal match. How is that helping hospitals? Look, we got to make priorities. When a Medicaid patient can't see a doctor, it's simple. When you're getting paid $20 on a radiology, that doctor can only afford to see so many Medicaid patients. And whatever that mixture is, it's low. Which means when a Medicaid patient calls up, whether it's because of financial wherewithal, they're on Medicaid or age, they're told, I can't see you tomorrow, I can't see you the next day, I can't see you next week, can't see you next month, I could see you 3 months from now. But you know why? It isn't because that doctor's that busy. It's because they can only take a certain amount of Medicaid patients at any given day, and if you don't fall into that silo, you spill over to the next. That's what's happening. It's not hurting any of us in this circle because we got the greatest medical coverage, I would argue, in the entire United States. But where it's hurting people are constituents. We cannot balance the back of this budget on the poor, on the municipalities, which are going to raise property taxes. I have heard people talk about SB 1 from last year saying it's the greatest property tax relief, and property tax at the municipal level is the greatest deterrent to businesses and people. But yet, what we've caused are municipalities to raise their personal property tax by telling them they were going to get a car tax relief, and 28 towns are not, and by cutting municipal aid. That's a mixed message. That's the predictability I'm talking about that we need. Now, we have a budget, and we've actually have an amendment that's on this current budget. I can count. I saw the way each amendment went, every single one of the last 7 or 8 amendments. And I thought about, let's run our bill. Let's run our budget. But I know that budget was out there long before the majority party had their budget. Long before the majority party had their budget. They didn't want us in the room, so I can tell you they have no appetite for our budget. The governor talked to us, but the majority wouldn't talk to us. The majority wouldn't come in the room. So I'm not going to sit here and waste all of our legislators' time for an hour and a half to talk about our budget and what it does, and I see the vote's going to be 21-15. I can count, at least that high. That's the problem. So we're not going to waste your time and run that budget, but we're proud of our budget. You know why? Because it doesn't cut social services. You know why? It doesn't hurt municipalities. You know why? It helps ECS. You know why? It's a 5-year plan for a vision for the state to go forward that is predictable, sustainable, and rolls out. You know why? Because it's got a transportation plan that says you can look at doing transportation for $65 or $70 billion over 30 years, and you could have that money, not raise taxes, not have tolls, and get the job done. That's why our plan's a good plan. I know it doesn't have a shot in this chamber. Been here 13 years. I know what's happening. But we're proud of that budget. We have to change. This is not the new economic normal, unless you want it to be. Competition among businesses raise salaries. Senator Gomes was telling me the other day that when he was in Bridgeport, there was competition in the field. If you didn't like what you're getting paid, you walked across the street, you got paid more. That's what raises wages. He's 100% right. But when you're in a position where you don't have competition in business, when you're in a position that you don't have businesses running in Connecticut and you're trying to get a job, you don't have it, that's why our wages are low. And the math is 100% right. Let's look real fast. 5% unemployment, one of the lowest it's been in a long time. If you believe that number, that means 95% of the people are working. So why are our collective wages going down? Because the wages are going down and people are leaving. It's the combination of the two. It's a mathematical formula that all you have to do is stop and do that math, and you will see, without a doubt, that either it's people leaving or wages going down precipitously. Either way, pick your poison. It's the wrong direction. Madam President, we have to change. This budget doesn't do it. We need real structural changes. We need a plan, and we need to go forward because this is a great state. Thank you, Madam President.
Thank you. Will you remark?